Hi there, Dave Schwartz here, author of Roll the Bones, The History of Gambling, which is now out in the stupendous Casino edition, talking to you today about another chapter in the book. Today we're up to chapter 13, and it's called The Burger King Revolution, Las Vegas Bounces Back for the First Time, and there really is a Burger King involved in this. It's not just a metaphor, it's more than a metaphor. And there's a lot of things in this chapter. Mostly it covers the 1980s in Vegas, but I handle some other material. And I start off with an overview of how the mob lost its hold over Las Vegas casinos. So I talk a good deal about that and a lot of the changes. There's a lot of reasons that I discuss, including more law enforcement, financial changes in how casinos were owned, changes in how casinos were operated. And I go into a lot of detail in the book and all of that. Then I move on to some of the famous skimming cases, including the Strawman investigation, which was featured in Martin Scorsese's film Casino, if you've seen that. So those characters, I talk a little bit about the real story behind that story. And the final exit of the mob from the ownership of casinos in Las Vegas. After that, I switch gears and I talk about what was going on in Las Vegas in the early 80s. And generally speaking, it was not good. I assessed the impact of Atlantic City in Las Vegas, and surprisingly to people now, it was very negative. And people in Las Vegas really were scared that Atlantic City was going to take over. And I have a lot of quotes from people in Las Vegas then in the book that seem funny now, but back then they really were very apprehensive about that. Talk about some other issues facing Las Vegas, including the economic recession of the late 70s and early 80s, and the fires at the MGM Grand and Las Vegas Hilton in late 1980, early 1981, that really spread a lot of, not so much panic, but definitely fear that maybe the hotels in Las Vegas weren't as safe as they were supposed to be. So from here I talk about how Las Vegas reinvented itself in the mid-1980s, and what it did is it became a mass market and family destination really for the first time. And the Burger King at the Riviera, which I talk about, is the hook I use to put all this huge kind of abstract process into a concrete reality and talk about it there. So the Burger King of the Riviera, very important in this chapter. I also talk about the growth of Circus Circus, which for a while was the most profitable casino company in the world. So consider that. Talk about a lot of the particulars about what was going on in Las Vegas, property expansions, other moves that they were taking, RV parks showing up in the Strip, and really how this mass market strategy led to success in the mid to late 1980s. So that's that chapter. It really sets up what's going to happen both nationally with the expansion of gaming in the 90s and the changes in the Strip in the 90s. So that is what it is going to set up. And there's a chapter. For more information, you can go to rollthebonesbook.com. Thank you very much.